Have you ever fired three streets with air, represented the nuts on a scary board, and gotten called down by a guy with bottom pair? And you just sat there staring at the felt, thinking, how? How does he call me there? Here's the thing, that call wasn't a bad beat. That call was information. That player just told you exactly who he is. And if you know what to do with that information, he's about to become the most profitable player for you at the table. This is Vinton Poker, precision in, profits out. Today we're talking about calling stations, what they actually are, how to spot them fast, and the exact adjustments you need to make to turn their biggest leaks into your biggest edges. So, what is a calling station? A lot of players throw that label around way too loosely. One bad call doesn't make somebody a station. What you're looking for is a pattern. A calling station continues with hands they have no business continuing with. Again and again, street after street. Weak pairs, bottom pairs, no pairs on a draw heavy board. They just keep calling. They call the flop with middle pair, no kicker. They call the turn with bottom pair and a backdoor gut shot. They call rivers with hands that can only beat a bluff. And then they are proud to scoop up a monster pot even when the whole table looks at them with dismay and pity. They say things like, I put you on air. I had to call, I had a pair. Or I just didn't believe you. That's your tell. Profile it, label it, file it away. Because now you know exactly how to play every hand against them for the rest of the session. Here's where most players go wrong. They see a calling station and then they try to be clever. They rep a flush when it comes in. They barrel the scary ace on the turn, trying to tell a story. They fire a big river bluff because the line looks so clean. And then the station calls every single time. Why? Because the station isn't asking, what does his range look like in this runout? They're asking, do I have a pair? If the answer is, me have pair, me like me hand, they're probably calling. That's it. That's the entire process. So firing elaborate bluffs at a calling station isn't sophisticated poker. It's just ego. You're playing against yourself and not them. So stop trying to make them fold. They're not going to fold. Not now, not the next hand, not ever. Here's the only question that matters when you're deciding whether to bet against the station. Not is my hand good enough? That's the wrong question. The right question is, will worse call me? If yes, bet every time, every single time. That shift in your thinking is everything. It's the difference between massive winning sessions and huge win rates, or just getting crushed by a guy who just can't fold Jack 7 off because it's his favorite hand. After all, he won $300 with that hand 3 years ago in Vegas when he cracked some dude's aces when the board went runner, runner, jack, jack. So he has to fucking play it every time. Now, let me show you what you should do in practice instead. Let's say you raise $15 from the hijack at a 1-3 game with King Jack off. The station calls from the button. Your heads up, the pot is around $33. Flop comes Jack 8-4, rainbow. He checks. Most players in this spot bet $20 and start wondering if they should slow down on the turn. Wrong. You have top pair, decent kicker. Against the station who calls with any jack, any eight, any pocket pairs below jacks, and honestly, any two big cards because they just like their hand pre-flop, you have a massive, massive edge. Bet $25, $30, get value. The turn comes 5, rainbow. Still pretty dry. He checks again. Now some players think he called the flop, so maybe he has something. That's station thinking applied to yourself. The correct thought is, he called the flop, which tells me nothing except that he has something that he likes. That something is almost certainly worse than top pair. Bet again. Fire $55, $60. River comes on offsuit 3. He checks again. Bet again, $90, 100. He's calling with Jack 7, Jack 6, pocket 8s, pocket 5s, pocket 4s. He might even call with a worse Jack. Bet it. That's 3 streets of value you extract because you ask the right question every single time on every single street. Now, here's the other part of it. When you have value against the station, you don't just bet, you bet huge. This is the part that costs low stakes player real money. They hit top pair, they get scared of blowing somebody off the pot, and they bet $30 into 80. They're leaving $20, $40, $30, $50 on the table every single time. Here's the reality. Calling stations don't leave pots because of bet sizing. They leave pots when they finally realize they have nothing at all, and sometimes not even then. If they called $40 on the flop, they're almost certainly calling $80 on the turn. If they called $80 on the turn, they're probably calling $120 on the river. Their calling threshold is wide and not narrow. So when you have the best hand, and against the station you very often do, charge full price. Before we go on, if you're getting value from this video, give it a like and share it with someone else who's also serious about becoming a crusher just like you. Your support means the world to me, and it encourages me to create more content just like this. Be sure to share your thoughts and questions in the comments below as I read them all. And subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future episodes. Your support helps this channel grow, and it helps me level up your game step by step. Now let's talk about draws, because this is a spot where I see players leaving a ton of money behind. Let's say you're at a 1-2 game. You raise to $12 with ace-queen offsuit. The station calls in the big blind. The pot is around $25 now. Flop comes queen 9-7 with 2 clubs. He checks. You've got top pair, top kicker. Beautiful, but look at this board. It's wet. He could easily have queen 8, queen 6, king queen, queen jack, 9-10, 9-8, pocket 6s, pocket 5s. He's calling with all of those hands. Bad players bet $15 here to keep the pot small. But guess what? You're not going to keep the pot small. Who's going to build it if you are going to keep the pot small? In a spot like this, you want to build the pot, and you want to charge him the maximum amount you can to chase whatever he's chasing. Bet close to pot. Go even bigger, $22, $23. Even more if he's going to call. Make every flush draw, every open-ender pay a hugely bad price. Because here's what the Pipo tells us. When you identify a mistake, and calling draws at a bad price is a huge, huge mistake, you make that mistake as expensive as possible every single time. The station is going to call. He was always going to call. Your job isn't to keep him in. He's already in. Your job is to set the worst price possible for him and the best price possible for yourself. And that principle doesn't start on the flop. It starts before the flop cards are even dealt. Pre-flop, when the calling station limps, you raise bigger than normal. Not to blow them off the pot, because that's not happening. You raise bigger to build a bigger pot for when you make a hand. At 1-2 with one limper, raise it to $12 or $15 instead of the standard $8 or $9. Multiple limpers to $18 to $22. At 1-3 with one limper, raise to $18 to $20. With multiple limpers, go to $25, $30, or even $35. And the hands you want to be doing this with are hands that will flop well against their wide calling range. Big pairs, ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, king-queen suited, king-jack suited, hands that make top pair, top kicker or better, because that's where you're going to get paid. Suited connectors and small pocket pairs lose a lot of value here. Their profitability depends on fold equity and clean implied odds. And against a station who calls everything pre-flop and continues too wide post-flop, you get neither. Position matters enormously with this. You want the calling station directly to your right. When they limp, you isolate. When they call, they have to act before you on every street. When they check to you, you decide your sizing and you bet into them. every single time. That's the dream setup. When the station is on your left side, it gets a little bit messier. They can just call behind your raise and put you in multi-way pots with no positional advantage. Tighten up a little. The exploit is still there, just a little harder to execute. Now, let me tell you about a leak that I see over and over again that is absolutely destroying players' win rates against stations. River bluffs. You have a flush draw. You missed. The river bricks. You've gotten 7 high and you think, well, I've been telling this story all along and the river kind of completes my range, so maybe I fire. And you shove $150 into a pot of $200 and he snap calls with third pair. And you're furious. But here's the thing. You made the mistake, not him. A bluff only works on a player who can fold. That is the entire premise. You're essentially trying to get a better hand to lay it down. But a calling station doesn't lay down hands. That's literally the defining characteristic of a calling station. You watch them all night call, call, and call. You notice, and yet you fire another huge river bluff anyway. That's not poker play. That's just donating chips because you couldn't accept that your hand missed. The weapon against the calling station is not complicated multi-street bluffs. It's a hammer. Top pair, bet. Turn, bet, river, bet, and then collect. As easy as that. If you want to go deeper on this, the Delusion Killer Masterclass has an entire section built around exploiting exactly these kind of players. And my students consistently tell me that since taking the course, their win rate has dramatically improved, especially in loose, splashy games that are so often the case at the lower stakes. The link is in the description below. Check it out. If you want to work on this with me directly one-on-one, I offer a free introductory coaching session for my new clients. You can reach me on WhatsApp to book your appointment. Spots are filling up really fast, so take advantage of it while there's still some spots available. We'll go through your specific hands, identify the stations in your local room, and build a clear plan to exploit them every single time that you sit down. The link for that is also in the description below. It's my WhatsApp. Come find me. And if you haven't used my free Vinton Poker Coaching AI yet, the link for that is also in the description below. It's trained on my full course, book, strategy, and it's completely free to use. Look me up on WhatsApp, book your free coaching sessions right now, and let's get you crushing. Now, here's the thing that I want to add here that most players completely overlook, and it costs them money in many different ways. Calling stations are almost always passive. They call, 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 and call. They almost never raise. So when a station has done nothing but call all night and suddenly raises into you on a turn or the river, slow down completely. Be cautious. That raise should ring alarm bells in your head. You've been value betting him thin all session. You've been extracting from weak pairs and dominated hands. You've been playing this guy like an ATM, and now he raises. That raise means something. Not always two pair or better, but almost always never a bluff. When a passive player wakes up with aggression, give them full credit. Fold your one pair hands. Fold your thin value. This isn't a spot to hero call. You're not going to catch a bluff from a player who hasn't bluffed all night, all sessions, all week. That same player who's your ATM at the table on the value side is a locked safe on the aggression side. Treat those two situations completely differently. Calling stations are the most exploitable players in low-stakes live poker, not because they're bad at bluffing, not because they tilt easily, but because they call just way too much. And that one massive leak, when you exploit it correctly, is money in your pocket every single street of every single hand of every single session. Ask the right question. Will worse call? Value bet relentlessly and size up when you're good. Never bluff into them. And when they raise, get out of the fucking way. That's it. That's the entire game against the calling station. Now, if you want to keep learning and keep crushing, click on this video somewhere in one of these corners.